Now Sean McDonough, Michigan State, with a little more understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. Late in the shot clock, the team Cleves with the ability to penetrate, do some damage, and kick the basketball in. If you look at tapes, you know Bell, he loves that corner jumper, Cotton, and they are sticking it from deep now.
3 for 3 this half from three-point land. Michigan State after an 0 for 10 first half. Jason Klein set the tone with 2 quick threes, and then Bell, with the shot clock running out, added the third. 18 on the shot clock as North Carolina inbounded. Jamison, nice play, showing his strength in the lane to get that shot up with all kinds of arms slapping at him.
And you know, that was designed. He inbounded, curled around Jai, presented himself. Nice heads-up play.
And 15 points now for Jamison, who averages 22.6 points and 10.4 rebounds per game. He has a chance to become the first Tar Heel since Billy Cunningham in the mid-60s to average 20 points and 10 rebounds for the season. There's Bell off a curl. He has 13.
And Smith is a big curl. That big body opened it up.
Coda stripped. Good hands by Cleves, and Bell with the save in the corner. In 5 minutes, they've taken 10 points off the lead. Cleves, a three that rattled out.
He loves to stick it in, though, and they let him ride with it. He's got the green light.
That looked good the whole way. Rattled the rim and came popping back out.
Smith very flat on Jamison.
Officials have let him play here in the second half. They played 5.5 minutes. Just 1 foul called in this half. It was against North Carolina. Jai, tough shot, and his banker hit the backboard, the rim, the backboard again, and stayed in.
Wow, a double smooch on that one, and not the kind of shot I'm sure Bill Guthridge would settle for. Those kisses could get you out of the game.
Yeah, that'll get you going steady. Kiss as regularly as Jai did. That's a kick, so they'll reset the shot clock from 21 to 35. Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we'll select the genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. Today, Chevrolet has contributed nearly $6.5 million to scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
You think of the temperament of Bill Guthridge, how relaxed to follow Dean Smith, and there's one of the lineage of North Carolina. Roy Williams' son Scott on the team. They always come back to Tar Heel land.
We were chatting with Roy. He still hasn't gotten over the elimination of his Kansas Jayhawks. DeJuan Wiley. The tip wouldn't go for Peterson. Peterson again, a miss. Jamison the rebound. So a couple of great chances the last 2 trips for Michigan State. And those opportunities squandered. Williams fouled on a grab by Charlie Bell. Second foul on the freshman. Was a prolific scorer in high school. Bell scored 2,252 points at Southwestern Academy in Clinton. Is the all-time leading scorer in the history of that city. When you consider that Glenn Rice and Mateen Cleaves, among others, are from Flint, that's quite a record.
The Flintstones, they get a few from there. But how about the foot speed of Carolina to get down the floor, Sean? They just bang the ball down. The big guys fill, opens it up for the guards.
The foul on Bell, the first called on Michigan State here in the second half. Each team has been called for just 1. 6.5 minutes in. Coda, they left him alone and he missed it. Ochulaja tip, and Jai a tip, and out blocked by Wiley. And it'll be Spartans ball as Williams went to press row but couldn't save it.
Nice play by Cleves to get it back to his club. Good hustle by Shaman. And they are so strong, Carolina, on the glass, but all-out effort. You think this is important to both programs? Fortunately, Shaman okay. That could have been dangerous.
Wiley, seconds after his 50th block of the year, clears a three that spins out again. Wiley the rebound, and then he lost the handle. 3 straight empty trips for the Spartans. We're down 6. Williams, a handoff for Coda.
The blow by the dish. Oh. Well, Roy used to do that alongside Dean Smith with a lot of wins, but just extraordinary pace and then acceleration by Williams.
Tom Izzo in the year of Reggie Greenwood in front of that Spartan bench. He thought Wiley was fouled in that action underneath the offensive basket a moment ago. Michigan State down by 8. It trailed by 14 at halftime. They were within 4 and had a three-pointer rattle out that would have gotten them within 1.
They're not able to get too many things just there. Wiley never got vision on the ball. Not a good look.
Peterson turned it over. Cota lost the dribble, and it'll be Michigan State ball.
It really makes it tough for Michigan State, unable to convert down in the box. They love to get it inside, do some damage. Smith's got some offensive maneuvers, and then they can kick it out, but no presence for Tom Izzo in the low post.
A.J. Granger back in for Michigan State. Antoine Jamison has returned for North Carolina. It's Cleaves, Bell, Granger, Hudson, and Peterson for Michigan State.
Granger's one of those perimeter shooters as Cleaves tees it up.
And he can't get one to drop, and a foul against the Spartans on the rebounding action. Foul on A.J. Granger.
Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg in New York. North Carolina with a 54-42 lead. 7:17 to play in the second half. Watch that score at the top of your screen, and we'll tell you about West Virginia and Utah. Every time, Clark, you figure you've got the flavor of this game, it changes flavors.
Well, that's what can happen when you've got a team that presses like West Virginia does. Their problem is they've been turning the ball over too much. They've got 17 turnovers, but they have picked up the pace, and that's exactly what they want to try to do here.
Both these teams shooting the lights out here in the second half. West Virginia 6 for 6 from the floor. Utah 6 for 7.
When you're shooting that well, you would hope to cut into the deficit, but they've only gained 1 point on what was a 6-point deficit at halftime. But again, the pace is starting to work in West Virginia's favor right now.
All right, we'll keep you folks advised as to what happens between West Virginia and Utah. Let's get you back to Greensboro. Sean McDonough, Bill Raftery.
And 7:05 remaining, and North Carolina leading by 12. Vince Carter makes the front end of a 1-and-1. He now has 15 points. North Carolina led by 14 at halftime. Michigan State very quickly, the opening minutes of the second half, got within 4. The Spartans have gone ice cold, and the lead is back to 13. And Carter long with a three-point try. Cleaves hasn't scored a point in more than 10 minutes now.
A little flare for the dramatic there by Carter. Went up to punch it in. That's almost a walk, Sean.
Cleaves nearly got stuck in midair. It's Cleaves, Antonio Smith, Jason Klein, Andre Hudson, and Charlie Bell. Cleaves just lofted it up.
It's a combination of Cota and Williams plus a little zone.
Okuraja, an air ball from along the baseline. Klein rebounded the miss.
Cleaves has not really had the opportunity to do too much damage. They do a nice job one-on-one with Cota, and they're also helping if he turns the corner.
Inside, nothing will drop now for Michigan State. Hudson had it spin out.
Couldn't get a better look than that. Well designed. Tom Izzo, his guys have stepped it up nicely, but it's the dilemma of not sealing off and capturing misses by Carolina.
Michigan State is 0 for its last 16.
Sneaking in there.
Cota hit hard by Hudson. 3 fouls on Hudson. Now it's time for the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Points in the paint. Surprising edge for North Carolina. They've had the advantage of rebounding. That's led to the points in the paint differential. Get all your tournament news at cbs.sportsline.com.
As humble as Bill Guthridge is, he won't take credit for that offensive rebounding or points in that area. I think it's the speed and also where they deploy. They have a terrific read of the defense. They don't get their bodies locked up on people, and the passing is extraordinary, Sean. Okuraja with Cota, a little slippage defensively, nail them right down in the lane. They keep moving and present themselves.
Cota, Jamison won the battle for the rebound, went right over the back of DeJuan Wiley. So the primary strength of Michigan State, rebounding, has not been a strength tonight.
He pops it on the way up. You can't get a piece of it.
Jamison is 18. Cleaves answers with a 3. 5.5 minutes remaining. North Carolina leads by 13. Mateen-Cleaves now in double figures with 11 points. Williams slipped out and got called for travel.
Nice little gimmick D there as they doubled up on the dribbler and came up big too. Tom Izzo's guys, so they couldn't see the passing lane.
And Cleaves has not had a huge night tonight, 11 points. And there's been this perception of Michigan State that as he goes, so go the Spartans. That really is not true. There have been many games this season when others have stepped up. As a matter of fact, in the 4 games this season when Cleaves did not score in double figures, the Spartans won all 4.
I don't know if it's the points as what he does with it, the distribution, but the Minnesota game in the Big Ten tournament, for example, not the kind of game that they were used to. He's so important to this team, and I think Carolina has taken him out of the mix. Once he gives it up, they play zone and man. He gives it up. They don't let him get it back, or they let him get it back in a deep area.
Cleaves makes another, and just when it seems the Spartans are buried, here they come again.
And so much, I think, for the zone. I think Bill Guthridge a lot for the man-to-man. It's been more successful.
Cleaves now 6 of 16 from the floor. In that loss, Bill mentioned to Minnesota in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. He was 2 out of 18. Carolina running the shot clock down to 10. And the game clock under 4.5 minutes remaining. Charge. Okolija put his shoulder down and ran over Morris Peterson.
And that's one of the few aimless trips Carolina's had. They never got into any of their sets, didn't get the organization, and Michigan State pretty solid D, moved the feet. You can be in motion. A little easy call for the officials. Okolija, he sort of was stuck with it less than 4. He had to do something magical.
4 fouls on Okolija, 5 team fouls on the Tar Heels here in the second half. So the Spartans with a chance to get it back into single digits again, down by 10 with 4:20 left.
And the Tar Heels go man-to-man. Not going to let Cleaves beat them.
They come to double Cleaves. And that's rattled home by DeJuan Wiley.
Nice little space out, too, as they blitz the pick.
And you can sense the Tar Heel fans are anxious again with the margin down to 8, under 4 minutes left. Carter, one-on-one on Bell. The fadeaway.
Goodness. Oh, that's sensual. That kind of a move. Big time spot up and knockdown. Nice clear out of the set offense. Oh, did they have a little finesse?
Cleaves, a quick 3, ill-advised shot, an air ball that went directly out of bounds. Tom Izzo telling Mateen-Cleaves, you cannot do that.
Tough to stop Carter. A lot of other guys for this Carolina team. Tom Izzo has a dilemma, Sean. This is just a clear out. Now watch the jump, the fade, the knockdown. A little cotton for Carter.
Kellogg with you once again from New York. North Carolina with a 10-point lead. Let's show you what's happening out in Anaheim, where Utah has a 53-48 lead on West Virginia, and the Mountaineers, Clark, 9 for 13 from the field in the second half.
But they still can't cut into what was a 6-point deficit. Just a moment ago, they had it down to 2. Utah hits a 3, and give Utah credit. Even though they've turned it over a little bit, they've made enough conversions, and they've actually had a huge advantage from the foul line, which is the reason they're still on top by 5.
You folks will see the end of this game once yours is complete, but right now let's send you back to Greensboro. Carolina with a 10-point lead. Sean McDonough, Bill Rafter.
An offensive set that has used a little bit of clock, but yet has good meaning at the end of it.
2 shots for Jamison. Already a double-double, 18 points and 13 rebounds. And he started to brick it up a bit from the free throw line. Now 4 out of 8. Jason Klein back in for Charlie Bell. Foul on Antonio Smith was his 4th. 9 team fouls on Michigan State, so North Carolina will shoot 2 the rest of the way. The Jamison family approves. Mother Kathy.
Got to get their quick hitters right now. Running their stack screen pop outs.
3 minutes remaining.
See, the dilemma is Carolina makes you use clock.
Cleaves nicely down the lane, fouled by Jai. And that's 2 on Maktar Jai.
Whenever you play somebody real good, like Cota is, occasionally you go for the basketball. That time he reached and a little blow by between Cleaves.
Coming up next here on CBS Sports, NCAA tournament action continues in both the East and West regions. Here in Greensboro, Washington against Connecticut. The tip approximately 9:59 Eastern time. Anaheim, California. It's Maryland and Arizona. The defending national champs on the court at 10:15. Cleaves missed the first of 2. David Thomas and Charlie Bell back in. Jason Klein and Morris Peterson go out.
A little speed on the floor, maybe some fouling too. Test and see if they can knock some down. Carolina.
In Anaheim, 8:26 remaining. Utah with a 7-point lead over West Virginia. We'll take you to the conclusion of that game as soon as the Spartans and Tar Heels are finished here in Greensboro. 1 out of 2. Tom Izzo's Spartans are down 10 again.
And they're trying to extend the floor. Cota and Williams pretty adept at handling and also making you pay if you gamble.
Cleaves has 3 fouls, so careful.
Key here is to deny. Trying to take away the here's maybe a 5-second call.
I think they might have taken a chance with fouling Okolija, the worst free throw shooter on the floor. Now they foul Cota with 10 on the shot clock. If you're going to foul,
do it early,
do it earlier and foul Okolija instead of Cota.
If you're going to foul maybe in the backcourt, that's probably why the cringe by Tom Izzo. He's got a speed group in. Now he goes for a little offense. They have just been hanging. They just can't do a job sealing off. The offensive rebound by Carolina, extraordinary.
Well, Cota's at 82% for the year. Okolaji's 62%. So in that trade-off, they gave up 20 percentage points and time on the clock. Cota got the bounce. He now has 11. Cleaves picked up his 4th foul, so he's 1 away from fouling out. Bell goes out. Thomas also heads to the bench with Wiley. Two free throws made by Cota and Jamison trying to get position. Knocked Hudson down. 2.5 minutes left. North Carolina up by 12. Tom Izzo wants a timeout. It'll be a 20-second timeout. Let's see what Tom Izzo and his staff have up their sleeve. He's assisted by Stan Heath, Mike Garland, and the associate head coach Tom Crean. And I mentioned about all the great players coming back from Michigan State next year. They lose only to Juan Wiley. But you wonder if Tom Crean will be back. So much a key to their success. An ace recruiter, one of the top young assistant coaches in the country, and now his name is mentioned virtually every time a big job comes up.
People are aware of what he's done. Paid his dues. Ralph Fuller down at Western Kentucky, then up at Pitt, and now Michigan State. They have a great rapport on this staff. Countless tapes and preparation. Just an amazing effort. Nice hands here.
Morris Peterson got it back after the block by Carter and a foul as the shot was hoisted by Antonio Smith. Jai called for his 3rd. I liked your line to Tom Crean when we were in their film room yesterday. How many tapes would you say of North Carolina games Michigan State had out on the table?
Well, I would say they had last year's. By counting them, they had like 60 tapes.
And you said to Tom Crean, where's the tape of North Carolina's exhibition game against Yugoslavia? That might have been the only tape they didn't look at.
Well, you know, with all the tape work and all the preparation, it boils down to blocking and tackling. As Vince Lombardi used to say, checking out, good passing and catching the basketball. And Carolina very efficient in covering the blocks in the center on a miss. And their foot speed has won out thus far.
Smith with 3 points. A junior from Flint in his 2nd year as a team captain. Played with Mateen Cleaves in high school at Flint Northern on a state championship team. Now Granger comes back in.
43 is a Granger who checks in for 13. Romeo Smith.
Might be a designated fouler. Smith goes out. He has 4.
And he's got Okolaja, as you noted before. He'll try and keep it in Cota or Williams' hands.
They're the 2 best free throw shooters. Williams one of the best in the nation. Anybody else is a candidate to be fouled. Of course, Cleves cannot foul or he's done. The lob, Cota, and a foul. And Tom Izzo cannot believe it.
Your job is to take the legs out of the cutter and the elevator man, and they were well prepared. And you would notice they talked about the lob. First half got away with it that time. I just thought terrific defensive reaction, and he coached under Judge, so he can emote a little bit.
And he has been. Jamison 5 out of 9 from the line, will shoot 2. Jai back into the ball game. Foul was on Hudson, his 4th. That is a big call. With 2:05 remaining, the lead back to 11 now. Jamison's second wouldn't go. Klein couldn't control the rebound, and Shammond Williams did.
Once again, speed to the basketball. The giveaway to Carter. Oh, well, you're thinking there's the wry smile, too. Just getting, I don't want to say out-hustled. I don't think that's the right term. I think the foot speed, the spurt, and the elevation and the quickness to the ball.
I think in that case, Klein didn't realize that he was going to have competition with the ball. He went after the rebound as if this is all mine, and the next thing you know, it's whipped away from him.
Can't be lackadaisical. The great names, huh? The history. You've done games at Chapel Hill. I mean, it's a mecca. Bill has seen some of the greats. Billy Cunningham and Michael Corrin. What's the fellow that Chicago? Not sure. Pretty decent player too. Michael Jordan. One of the greatest ever.
Another rebound that the Spartans could not control. That time off the fingertips of Granger and out of bounds. Out west, 6:50 remaining. Utah leads by 5. Number 3 seed trying to advance to the Elite 8, and we'll send you the end of that ball game as soon as we're finished here.
And continuing the list of greats, you think of Worthy and Perkins, the flexibility of their big guys over the years. I mean, mobile. They caused the timeout with good aggressive defense. Quick 20.
Of course, Antoine Jamison, with all those great names that you mentioned, the big question about Jamison around Chapel Hill is, will he be back next year? He has a chance to accomplish things that nobody else has accomplished. He could be the first 4-time first-team All-ACC player. No player in the history of the league has done that. And he has a chance to be the ACC's all-time leading scorer if he comes back next year. Most people thought early in the year it was a foregone conclusion he'd leave because he's likely to be one of the top picks in the draft if he does go. But lately he's indicated that he might stay. He said getting my degree would be as important to me as being the National Player of the Year, because it's very important to my parents. He said I'd like to be thought of in the same vein as Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn, who stayed for 4 years.
And of course they're going to meet after the year. Dean Smith will be part of the process, as well as Bill and the family, to discuss what's best for him at that time of the year. But when you heard Duncan and Van Horn, you started to think maybe he's headed in that direction. He felt that maturation was very helpful to them. Great attitude, competitor, and a family that enjoys watching him play. Father's a character, a little chat. Harry saw him at halftime with John Lutz, who used to be one of Dean's assistants.
You get the sense that they'd like their son to stay. Of course, there's some questions about whether or not Vince Carter will stay. He's a junior from Daytona Beach. And some unpleasantries after the free throw was made. The lead back up to 14, matching the advantage Carolina enjoyed at halftime.
And good officiating, too. Got right on top of it.
For the most part, it's been a very well officiated game. There was a shaky call, it seemed, a moment ago on that lob, but other than that, been very few protests from either coach.
And Jai alongside there. Phil Ford, I'm sure, will say, hey, relax. We've got this one under control. Don't do anything silly.
Michigan State in a heap of trouble now. Down 14. Cleves a long 3. Wiley couldn't control the rebound. Jamison flipped it ahead. Williams the dunk.
That's a fingertip assist by Cota.
This is the largest lead for North Carolina. It will survive that spirited Michigan State run early in the half. Cleaves threw it up on the rim. We'll see if they credit the basket to Cleaves. No, they'll give it to Hudson. It was tipped in.
So that little sequence where Jamerson ended up with the pass run, you make a mistake, they grasp and make you pay for it.
And Klein comes out and fouls Shamon Williams, who's the best free throw shooter in the ACC.
So with 61 seconds to play in Greensboro, and North Carolina very much in charge and about to move on to another game 2 nights from now, we'll send you out to Anaheim, where Gus Johnson and John Sundvold have the story on West Virginia and Utah.
6:12 to go, second half, 58-53. West Virginia, you can feel them coming right now.
Well, they're out a lot of the motion offense. Again, if you're Utah, make West Virginia make some outside shots. They're going to the basket off the dribble every time.
Foul on the floor called against Utah, and the Utes not really fazed by the West Virginia full-court pressure. However, in the last few possessions, their perimeter shooting has been a trouble spot for Rick Majerus.
Now they have to shore it up defensively because Pledger and Owens are coming off screens, Gus, and once they catch it, it's on the floor trying to take it to the rim, trying to make this Utah team contain them on a one-on-one dribble.
And Pledger missing the free throw, and it's picked up in the corner.
West Virginia now 3 of 8 from the foul line.
And speaking of the perimeter shooting for the Utes, 3 of 13 from the three-point line. So they need to pound it into Michael Doliak.
They have to try to find him. West Virginia's been able to stay in this zone. If you don't make jump shots against it, they don't need to come out.
Doliak, he'll take it. Tipped. And the rebound to Alex Jensen.
Good play by Jensen to bring it back out, give him a fresh look. Maybe Miller can free himself up for an outside shot. He's the one guy, though, West Virginia focuses on the outside when he catches the ball.
Nobody right now for Utah wants to shoot it. Perfect example. Jensen passed up on the shot. Inside. And a whistle, foul, a push on Britt Johnson. Marcus Goree. Nobody wants to shoot it from the perimeter. Watch this.
Well, when you're hesitant as a shooter, this is what happens. You got to be ready to catch it. If you're open, shoot it. Right now, everybody's tentative. They're looking for Doliak, and last time he had to step outside to get his shot.
But for the Mountaineers, they've got to start hitting free throws.
Yeah, no kidding. 3 of 8 from the foul line. They struggled, as we mentioned, against Arkansas when they were only 9 of 19. I'm sorry, against Cincinnati. Apologize for that in their big victory.
They shoot 61% as a team. Goree, a 60% shooter. The sophomore from Dallas, Texas.
And again, they'll go back to full court pressure, but they'll change the look once again.
And the second is pure. 4 points for Goree, 58-55.
And now it's a 2-2-1 full court pressure. They won't trap in the corner. They'll entice the dribble to half court and then put the trap on.
And there's a steal. West to the hole, and he's fouled.
Jared West continues to make big plays tonight for his ball club. Miller with the pass over the top. Too slow, too long in the air, and West gets in the act as he goes to the foul line. 10 points. He has 4 steals tonight.
And Jared West told me that they are ready for this basketball game during the tournament, the entire tournament. People have been underestimating them. They took care of Cincinnati. In the first round, they took care of Temple. Now they feel that they're ready to take care of this Utah team.
Well, their team out of the Big East, they're not going to be intimidated by the size of Utah. They weren't intimidated by playing the physical strength of Cincinnati. They weren't intimidated against his own defensive Temple.
And a final from the East Regional. North Carolina beating Michigan State 73-58. The Tar Heels move on. West. minutes, 52 seconds remaining. Utah up by 2, but West Virginia has a lot of momentum. Doliak, a foul on the floor against West.
And Andre Miller, Doliak have to be the two guys that get Utah back going on the offensive end. Jared West, who's caused havoc all night long, but finally Miller gets through the defense. A good hands again by Doliak. West thought he had another steal or a knock out of bounds. Picks up his 4th personal foul.
And the story here in the second half, Utah not fazed as much by the West Virginia pressure, but they have been very timid from the perimeter. 3 of 13 from the three-point line. Nobody right now with the confidence for the Utes to stick a 20-foot jump shot.
And credit the Mountain Men. They have contained Andre Miller. They have not allowed him to take good looks from the outside. And Michael Doliak, not many catches on the inside, but he's been automatic from the foul line. 9 of 10. He has 21 points and 9 rebounds.
60 to 56. 4:40 to go in the second half. West Virginia seeded number 10, Utah number 3.
Utah stays in that man-to-man defense.
Jones, pull up, off the dribble. And a foul, Solheim. He just grabbed Alex Jensen.
Working down low, it has been a war. Underneath the boards. Good strong rebound that time by Jensen. Has not been to the foul line tonight, only has 2 points. Has struggled from the outside perimeter. Take a look at the box out again. Utah, one of the better rebounding teams in the country. Solheim, a little bit of a grab. Good strong rebound.
So Alex Jensen, the sophomore from Centerville, Utah, a 75% free throw shooter. And he missed the burst. And that shooting, just a mental thing.
Well, it becomes mental. He's 1 of 6 from the field, and outside he's struggled. And when he's looked for his shot, it's been like the second thought, not the first thought. And so now you go to the foul line, you have to gain confidence and get it right here.
He got the second to drop. And substitutions in the game. Damian Owens, Jared West. West, the point guard, playing with 4 fouls now.
The 2 guys that make this Mountaineer Ball Club go. West has shot the ball well, 11 points. He has 3 assists. Damian Owens, watch him curling on the screens, likes to put it on the floor, go right to the rim.
Here's Owens. Ledger pops out in the corner, guarded by Miller. Lewin, drop step, got it away, hit it!
He has been unstoppable when he catches it down low. Footwork, terrific.
61 to 58. 8 points for Lewin. Miller almost had it taken away. Now he backs it out and runs a play. But look at how far West Virginia's pushing them out.
Doliak and Lewin down low doing a lot of physical work.
9 on the shot clock, 3:30 on the game clock. And a whistle and a foul on the baseline.
Brian Lewin has done some damage inside. He has 8 points. This second half, 3 big baskets. And look at the work down low. Lewin and Doliak getting locked up, the pushing, the shoving. Lewin's done a nice job of keeping it out of Doliak's hands, frustrated that he was called for the foul.
So Michael Doliak, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. He's got 21 points, averaging 21 per game in the NCAAs. He's got great touch.
Not unusual, 80% free throw shooter. We mentioned in the San Francisco ball game he had 27 points, 15 of 17 from the foul line in that game in the first round win.
Second one good as well. 3:27 to go in the second half. Utah hanging on 63-58. Back to Anaheim, the game summary for Utah. The big statistic, free throw shooting, 20 of 23.
Well, 87%, and what's frustrating for Gail Catlett is you want Utah to shoot from outside. They have struggled from outside, where West Virginia is 12 of 18 the second half shooting their field goals.
Gail Catlett not happy with some of his players, especially Lewin, committing that foul on Doliak with the shot clock down to 3.
And again, the information, take a look at the Arizona players. Miles Simon in the middle right there, getting ready to take on Maryland. But again, you don't want to foul Utah. They're making free throws. Make them beat you by jump shots.
Matter of fact, last 10 points for Utah, all coming from the foul line. 63-58.
A lot of motion to this offense again. Owens and Pleasure off screens.
Owens pops out, trying to go baseline, cut off, forces it inside and turns it over.
And a weak side held by the freshman Britton Johnson.
19 turnovers for the Mountaineers today. But Utah, they've gone over 9 minutes without a field goal. 10 straight points from the line.
West Virginia stays in that zone defense, but Andre Miller will run the clock down. Now it's at 11.
He's looking for the money guy, Doliak. Cover. Who wants to shoot the jump shot?
Boy, they're not looking to shoot it.
Doliak. Won the shoot, got it off, and it rims out.
Well, they ran a set play, but Jensen didn't want to unleash it.
West lets it go. Rebound Solheim and a foul.
Going to work from the top of the key. Solheim came flying in, his third offensive rebound. It's been a war down low. He's got 5 rebounds on the night. He will now go to the free throw line. Has not attempted one.
Andre Miller called for his third foul. Solheim, a 58% shooter, and he got the first. Big game for the senior. From Minnesota, 13 points. He averages 8. And the next one also good. And a 20-second timeout called by West Virginia. Now let's check out the CBS Sports Line stat of the game. Guess what? Free throw shooting. Mountaineers 8 of 14. Utah scintillating 20 of 23.
Well, and if you're a player and a coach, West Virginia's made their last 4, so they're feeling confident again. They don't want to foul Utah. Utah's very good at the foul line, but they are not making any jump shots. As a matter of fact, you mentioned it before, Gus. Utah players are hesitant to take the shot. See if Andre Miller can free himself up. He hasn't had many good looks.
And as a shooter, you know, crunch time, that ball gets a little heavy and a bit sticky.
If you're missing a few and you're not a pure shooter, it does. But Andre Miller, that guy has to get it in his hands, try to get a screen even against a zone that may attract 2 or 3 people in that zone. And you know what? The other guys, you have to release the ball.
Full court pressure. Pledger pick it up to Miller. And Hansen over the line. So let's see who wants to take the big shot aside from Doliak for Utah. Somebody's got to hit a jumper.
Hansen is a good outside shooter. Johnson has not been afraid, and Doliak steps out, but he's missed his last couple.
And a foul on the rebound. So West Virginia heads to the line, shooting 2.
Well, they finally moved Doliak outside to get a shot that was on the front part of the rim, and there's the reach and the swing, probably what you don't need when you have a 3-point lead with 1:50 on the clock.
Fritz Solheim, who made his last 2 free throws, gets a chance to shoot 2 more, but Rick Majerus says, hey, I'm going to make him think about it a bit. 1:50 to go, Utah by 3. Both teams in the double bonus. West Virginia with 1:20, 2 full timeouts. Utah with 1 full timeout, and the possession arrow in the favor of the Utes. 1:50 to go in the second half. Utah by 3, but there are the Solheims. Their son Brent with a great game, 14 points, and he's at the line for 2 more.
Again, he's been the most consistent over the last 8 ball games, averaged about 11 points and 6 rebounds.
Big free throws here for the senior. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, money. 3 for 3. Right down the middle.
And the second is good. about 1:50 to go. We've got a one-point game, 63-62, and the full court pressure again by the Mountaineers.
Again, 2-2-1. They'll wait and try to trap it at half court. Andre Miller has to get the ball in his hand.
Hansen to the basket, knocked out of bounds. Last touch by West Virginia. And you can feel it getting a little warm here in the pond. Don't forget, Washington, UConn coming up next.
5 seconds. Boy, you wouldn't expect Andre Miller to have that call because he's a point guard. He understands the game. He's watching what happens. I thought he'd take a timeout. Good defense again by the Mountaineers, and they have a chance to take the lead.
Jared West, the star of the Cincinnati game. 1:27 to go. Mountaineers down by 1.
Remember, Lewin has been very good inside.
And a 20-second timeout called by Gail Catlett and the Mountaineers, who have trailed by as many as 8 points in this game.
A little smile on his face. The fact that they run a lot of motion. Again, Owens curls, and that can free up Lewin because he's the postman setting a lot of screens.
So 1:18 to go. Who do you want to have the basketball?
I think you put it in Owens' hand. Damian Owens, your best player, causes a lot of things. And what he does, again, when he catches, he's very good and very shifty at putting it on the floor and making the defense react and help each other inside. Then that may free up West for a jump shot. It may free up Lewin by the basket. But Damian Owens creates havoc for a defensive team.
Damian said that we are together. We rise when we're faced with big challenges. A perfect opportunity to prove that today. They're looking for him. Instead, Lewin. 4 to shoot. He's got to pay attention. Got it away! And it's rebounded on the baseline by Hansen with 58 seconds to go. And a foul.
Well, Hansen picked up his dribble. Double teamed, and Solheim picks up the personal and can't believe it. Take a look. He picked up the dribble. Again, a no-no. Watch the reach from behind. Actually, boy, Pledger looked like he hit all ball. Did they call Solheim with that? Looked like he was away from the play even.
57 seconds remaining in the ball game. And Hansen at the line for 2.
64% free throw shooting.
And the first is off.
They have struggled from the perimeter. Hansen to a 5 from the field, and 0 of 2 from the line. No confidence when they're going up to the stripe right now.
West Virginia, golden opportunity. Under a minute to go, down by 1. Lewin. West, 15-footer off the rim. Picked up by Miller. About a second difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
Good solid rebound by Miller. 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a guy that needs to have the basketball.
And look where Doliak is.
Man-to-man defense.
A 1-second differential. They're playing keep away.
And Doliak's a guy you don't want to foul.
When do you foul? Knocked away out of bounds. With 7 seconds on the shot clock, 8.8 on the game clock, they got to get a foul.
Well, Gail Catlett kept calling the foul. The fact that it was in Miller and Doliak's hands, sometimes players think, well, that's not the guy we're supposed to foul. But you'd like to put Andre Miller on. He hasn't been the foul line, or he's had 5 of 5. But a tough deal. We're down to 1 point with 8 seconds left.
We've got 2 more games coming up this evening. Washington, UConn in the East, and Maryland, Arizona here in the West. And the game reset. Utah with no timeouts remaining. 2 fulls for West Virginia. Possession arrow favors the Utes.
And remember the last time from underneath out of bounds, Andre Miller, who does not have any timeouts, had a 5-second call. That's the most important. Get in. West Virginia has to foul. Go for a steal. If you don't get it, foul. You're only down 1. Still a 1-possession game no matter what happens on the foul line.
Here's Miller to Doliak. And he's fouled. Almost turned it over. With 6.5 to go.
And the thing we mentioned about Doliak all ball game long is how good a hands he has. Most big guys would not been able to pick up this basketball. It was knocked away. Watch a bounce pass. Active by Owens, but look at Doliak. That is great hands. He got a hold of it. Now he goes to the foul line where he is 11 of 12 on the night.
Fourth foul on Damian Owens, and Gail Catlett calls timeout as Michael Doliak, the senior, goes to the bench. 6.5 to go. 63-62. Set things for you. Both teams in the double bonus. No timeouts for Utah. One full timeout for West Virginia. The possession arrow in the favor of the Utes. Michael Doliak at the line shooting 2, but last week, West Virginia behind this young man, Jared West, hit a 3 to beat Cincinnati and get into the Sweet 16. But that's the big question now. If Doliak hits the 2 free throws, do you use the last timeout, or do you let your guys go down the floor and try to tie it up?
Well, because there's a timeout now, the defense can get set by Rick Majerus's team. So a lot of times the coach may use another one, but you want the flow of it. If you feel you can push it up the floor, as we saw against Cincinnati, Doliak knocks in another free throw. The high screen and roll, when they were down 2, a defense has a hard time defending. They don't know how far to push out. If he makes this, you're down 3, then Utah can actually foul maybe off that screen before a guy gets a shot off.
Second free throw by Doliak, a big one. He rattles it in. So here we go. West.
And they could foul if they had to.
4 seconds to go for 3 again. Off the front of the rim, and that's it. The Utah Utes survive and advance. And the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Fritz Solheim from West Virginia and Michael Doliak from Utah. 65-62 the final. And there was no doubt West was going to take this shot.
And he had a look. Gosh, the ball is in midair. I think half the crowd thought this was in. Look at the angle. It was just a little bit long. The push, and I thought maybe Miller would call a foul there or get on a foul, but he got a look. That ball is on the money, just a little bit long. Great ball game.
And Jared West missing by a hair, and the Utes advance to the final 8. Their reaction to the miss, hey, we continue to play. Our final score, 65-62, Utah seeded number 3. They beat the 10th-seeded Mountaineers from West Virginia and advance and await the winner of Arizona and Maryland. Once again, the Chevrolet most valuable players. Fritz Solheim, 16.6 rebounds. Michael Doliak, 25 points and 9 rebounds. And Doliak from the free throw line, 13 of 14. That was the difference. Now let's go to New York, where Greg Gumbel is standing by.
So Utah, a 65-62 winner, and the Utes now move on, and they will face the winner of Arizona, Maryland. Now, if you're wondering what's coming up next, here's what's happening. Washington and UConn about to tip. We're going to take all of you out there for your game, and those of you awaiting Maryland against Arizona, that tip time will be about 25 minutes from now, and we will take you back out to Anaheim to see the tip-off of that game. All of that is coming up. Meanwhile, we'll get you up to Washington and Connecticut, and we'll do that after this message and a word from your local station.